Hi, welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith. In this video, we're going to learn the two-player game, Tides of Time by Portal Games. Ancient civilizations will rise and fall. So you'll attempt to make your mark before time makes them all a distant memory. So join me at the table and let's learn how to play. To set up, off to the side of the table, you can place the rules reference for players to refer to if they have questions when playing, and the score pad, and the included pencil. This is not the pencil that comes with the game because I lost that pencil. This is a replacement. Shuffle the rest of the cards into a single face-down deck and then deal 5 to each player. Set aside the rest as a future draw pile. Also provide each player with 2 relic tokens to be used later. And that's the setup. In Tides of Time, each player will build 3 kingdoms over 3 rounds. And each kingdom you build will provide you with points. Hopefully. And at the end of the 3 rounds, the player with the most points wins. So let's go back to the table and see how this really works. First, from their hand of cards, each player will choose 1 to keep and place face down on the table in front of themselves. And I'll quickly do this for the other player as well. When both players are ready, they then reveal their chosen structure. And it's not a bad idea to read out the effect to the other player so they know what you've chosen. As you've played more games, you'll be able to tell simply by looking at the card. We'll go over these various effects later in the video, but for now let's continue. Once revealed, players now exchange their unchosen cards. Now, from these, they again choose 1 to build, putting it face down on the table once more. Again, I'll do this for the other player. And then, when ready, both players will flip over their chosen cards and put it with the other structure that they previously built. And so their kingdom begins to grow. And back and forth, you will do this until you have 5 cards face up in front of you. So at the end of the first round, both players will have kingdoms that look something like this. Now players score points based on what they constructed. You see, each building provides ways for its controlling player to score victory points, typically based on the other buildings found within their kingdom. There are 5 main types that are indicated by the symbol shown here in the top left-hand corner. There are gardens, strongholds, palaces, temples, and libraries. And as you can see, there are 3 of each. And finally, 3 that don't have a specific type. So as a quick example, let's say this was my kingdom at the end of a round. I now go card by card through each one and score based on the description here. Let's take a look at this one first. It says, for each stronghold, I gain 3 victory points. Within my kingdom, I can see that I have 2 strongholds, and that means this area is going to give me 3 points for each, for a total of 6. As you gain points, record them on the score pad, and you'll notice this is broken into 3 main sections, 1 for each round, and each of them is divided in 2. So I have a side for me and for my opponent. I scored 6 points, which I wrote here, and as I score more points, I'll continue to write them in and then total them at the bottom. My next structure says that for having a majority in palaces, I'll gain 7 points. So now my opponent and I need to compare kingdoms. The wording says that I need to have a majority in palaces, but I have 1, and so does my opponent. We're tied, and that means I won't score anything for this structure. Remember, only the player controlling the building gains points for it. So even if my opponent had a majority, they wouldn't gain anything, they just continue to prevent me from getting points. Now, what if instead I had this, the King's Nest, in my kingdom? This building doesn't directly score you points, but you'll notice it says I win all ties. So this area also provides me with a palace, like the card that I replaced, and that means we're still tied, but now that I win all ties, this means I do have the majority in palaces and will gain the 7 points of this structure. Those are just some examples of the basic scoring types, but we'll look at all of them at the end of the video. What's probably most interesting to note at this time is that the majority of the buildings that allow you to score for having certain structure types in your kingdom, like this one here that says for each set of library and garden that you have, gain 5 points, don't actually provide you with those required types themselves. So at the start of a round, when you're first building your kingdom, you're going to want to collect other buildings that are compatible and will help you gain more points. The problem is your opponent's trying to do the same thing, and you can see what they're starting to build towards. So then when you're looking at the cards in your hand and deciding which ones to take, you'll be thinking, okay, well this one will help my kingdom. But this one, if my opponent takes it, looks like it could really help their kingdom. So will they take it? Should I take it myself so they can't have it? Those are the challenging sorts of decisions that you're going to have to make when you're playing. At the end of the first round, after everything's been scored, you then take all of the structures that you built back into your hand. Now, each player chooses one card to keep by placing it face down in front of themselves and placing a relic token on top. And they choose a building that they want to discard, setting it face down with no token. Players now reveal both simultaneously when ready, leaving the token on top of their kept building. And this is a reminder that this ability and type will remain with them for the rest of the game. The discarded buildings can simply be returned to the box once both players have seen what is being removed. This means each player will have 3 cards remaining in their hand, and from the draw pile that we set aside earlier, each player will draw 2 new cards to bring their hand total back up to 5. Round 2 is played just like round 1, with players drafting back and forth cards, but now you'll have 6 structures in your kingdom at the end of the round to score. And that's because you started with 1 in play. Hopefully one that suits a strategy you wanted to try to employ in the second round based on the cards you now know exist, with the added uncertainty of the 2 cards each player added to their hand. Points gained in the second round are then added to the central area. Again, there's a column for each player, and these should be totaled as well. At the end of round 2, you will again take all of the buildings in your personal kingdom back into your hand, except for the buildings that have the relic token on them. Those will stay on the table. But again, you will choose one to put face down in front of you, putting a relic token on top of it, and another that you will be discarding. And just like before, you reveal both. Again, the one with the relic token is going to start in your kingdom at the beginning of the third round, and the one that you're discarding will be returned to the box. And just as before, when this step is completed, you will be 2 cards short in your hand. So then you will draw 2 cards each, which will use up the remaining cards in the draw deck. These symbols that represent the different building types are also known as suits. When laying out your building, it's recommended that you overlap similar suits, and in this way, players can easily see what's being collected. At the end of the third round, players will score again. The player with the most points totaled from each of the 3 rounds wins. And in the rare case of a tie, have a rematch. And that's how you play Tides of Time. As you noticed, you go through the entire deck each time you play. So the more familiar you become with the deck, the more you can anticipate what's going to potentially be coming up next. But you never know, because the order is going to change each time you play. And you'll be deciding, what do I want to take? The thing that's going to benefit me the most, or this card that I know my opponent is coveting? Speaking of the different cards, why don't we go right now through all the different card types and how they score, so you won't have any questions when you play, and just to give you an idea of the kind of combinations you might encounter. These we saw already. You simply gain 3 points for each of the indicated suits that you have in your kingdom. Likewise, we already saw examples of how these work, which give you 7 points each based on having a majority in a certain type of building. And we saw this one, which helps you win majorities even when you're tied. The Maze of the Damned will give you a big 13 points if you can get one of each type of building in your kingdom. And the maze itself is a garden, so you just have to go out and find those other 4 types. These 2 will give you points for each set of buildings that you have within your kingdom that match the indicated types. The Eye of the North says that you gain 3 points for each suit you don't have in your kingdom. There are 5 suit types in total. You don't count these non-suit types. So in this case, I have 2 suits, which means I'm missing 3. And for each missing one, I get 3 points for a total of 9. The Molehill will give you 8 points if you have a majority of suits with only 1 card each. For example, in this case, I have 3 different suits in my kingdom, and so does my opponent, but I have 2 that only have one card each, and my opponent only has one. So I have the majority of suits with a single card, and that means I do get my 8 points from this structure. The Sapphire Port gives you 8 points if you score the most points from a single card. So usually I'll score all of the other cards for the players, leaving a space for this one. In this case, Luke scored the most from a single card compared to what I scored, so he would gain the 8 points for having this card in his kingdom. Finally, although the Roof of the North doesn't give you any points directly, it doubles the amount of your most numerous suit or suits. So looking here, the suit that I have the most of are palaces. I have 2 of them. So instead of saying I have 2 of them, I double it and say I have 4. Now this is powerful because I also have this card which says for each palace I gain 3 points. So instead of just getting 6, I now get 12. Now remember, this doubles your most numerous suits. So if instead of this building, I had this structure instead, the greatest number I have of any suit is 1. So all of these double, and now I say I have 2 of each of them. Now remember the molehill that we saw earlier? It says, for the majority in suits with only 1 card gain 8 points. Although this effect is doubling each of these suits, it's not doubling the number of cards that I have. So for this effect, I still only have 1 of each card. And that's everything you need to know to play Tides of Time. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.